So this business of having a really long spell name, that's no good. It's no good what it's doing there. Let's have a look at this. Interestingly, if I look at the LI, notice where the solid blue color ends. The LI is still just that wide. It's just that its contents don't fit. And by default, it just keeps on running. Looking at the span, yeah, that span's just really dang long. We don't want the span to be that long. So how about we can fiddle with our CSS right here. Let's say spell name. What do we want to do? Let's say at most it should be 80% of its parent. So I could say width 80%, and that'll mean at most 80% of its container, which is the LI, which we saw is already a very reasonable size. 80%. Oh, cool. Now it put our level right there. So see if you hover over it, there, the blue end's right there. That's as long as the spell name is. So it very happily still fits our level where it belongs, but that's not really what we were looking for, is it? It's a step in the right direction, though. We've at least told it the width should only be that. And so it starts placing other elements as though it were only that wide. But we haven't told it what to do with the overflow. So we have properties with names like overflow. There's overflow X, overflow Y. Overflow X is what we're dealing with here now, right? It's too darn long. Overflow X. Visible seems to be the default. Scroll is another one. So we could do this. Now, on a Mac, the scroll bar isn't there all the time. On Windows, the scroll bar will be there all the time. It'll be this, dang it. It'll be this big nasty gray bar. So that's pretty foul. I just got carried away with my gestures. Let's put in real long spell name. Okay. Spec, where were we? Width 80%, right? Width 80%. Let's say overflow X. Instead of scroll, let's do hidden. Okay. That's progress. But there's no indication that there even is anymore, right? It'd be really cool if we could like show an ellipsis, the 3 dots, to indicate that there's more. Think we can do that using just CSS? Yeah, mama. There's a property called text overflow with values like ellipsis. Check it out. Yeah. Now, I don't know if you noticed. Look at the edge of the S there on the far left. As soon as I start doing the overflow, it actually gets rid of the overflow at the beginning too. So since this font is all swooshy, it's actually cutting off a little bit. So is there anything like that? Overflow. I'm not sure we have anything quite that specific. We could just add a teeny tiny bit of padding, to the beginning. So padding left, padding left, padding left. I'll just put some teeny tiny value. It's enough. That worked. 0.1 em, 1/10 of the current font size. Did we talk about ems? Anybody know what an em is? It is, yeah. So basically, it's the font size. So it's relative to the size of the font. Specifically in typography, it refers to the size of the capital letter M. There's another value called rem, which is relative to the font size of the page. So no matter where you are on the page, the value of a rem is exactly the same, whereas an M without the R is going to be relative to the current font size wherever you are on the page. 0.1 em seems adequate for our purposes. So I'm happy with this CSS that I've changed. So I'm going to copy these properties and move them to spell name here. And hopefully I did it right. We have not done anything to make it do that, but that's a great question. I didn't tell the morning class this, though. Don't tell them. It'll be more fun. No, feel free to share this with them. So it would be a good name, right? If you mouse over it to actually show them. So one thing you could do to accomplish that, and this isn't exactly what this is meant for, but I can do it here on the page first. Let's find it. If you set the title in HTML, add a title property, and just make that the same thing, that'll often show up as a tooltip. There you go. So we could, on the, where is that? Spell name span. We could say name span dot add attribute or attributes add. Is that what you have to do? Attributes add title and value. This is so the value could be the spell name again. Let me make sure this is right before you go copying it or anything. Make sure that syntax is right. No, I have an error. That's right. Let's see here. Let's just pick anything. $0 dot. There's not add attribute. That's not a thing. No. And attributes. Named node map. Dot add. Not a thing. Dot set named item. Set attribute. Is that a thing? Or you mean just on the thing itself? Yeah, set attribute. Title. Title. Does it work?
I did that color and that did something, so.
Looks like it probably does. I'm not sure if that's the standard way to do it or not. It did seem to work. I think set attribute feels better to me. $0 set attribute, name of attribute, title, value of attribute, whatever. So let's do it that way. Set attribute is what I was trying to remember here. So which attribute you're trying to set, and then the value you're trying to set it to. So if we have a super long name again, mouse over it, it'll show me the whole thing. Cool. What if there's a space in the middle of it? What if it's only too long because of multiple words? What happens right now? Then it's going to put it on multiple lines. Maybe that's what you want. If it's not, then you can add you can add something else in there to deal with that. What do you think? No one, huh? Because generally, if you have space, because no one word in there is too long, right? It's only like the whole thing is too long. So just like if it were a paragraph, you know, if there's a space there, okay, just put that on the next line, right? It's just text. Yeah.
Would you put overflow in the Y direction? Because you put overflow in the X to stop it from going this way. Could you do that in the Y?
You can do that for the Y, but it wouldn't solve the problem that we have here, because that only works basically if there's not room in the Y direction, but there is. So we could set an explicit height or something on that, but there is probably an easier way. Good idea, though. And sometimes that's exactly what you want. But a lot of times you have to kind of do that in combination with something else. So let's look at, where are we here? $0 is the thing. Oh, yeah, never mind. I'm trying to edit its CSS. Ah, come on, you. White space, no wrap. That just tells it no line breaks allowed inside this element. So now it will overflow like it did before. So white space, no wrap. So if my CSS for spell name, I say white space, no wrap. Refresh, make sure that really works. Make sure I don't put any one word that's too long. Just put way too many words. And yeah, it still truncates it. Cool. Also didn't do that this morning. This commit will truncate long spell names. Nice concise way of saying all that we did. Questions? Cool.